Hello everybody, my name is Spooky. Welcome back to another Stadium Build guide. Today we're going to be going over Tracer's Yeet version 1 build. This build is based around her Pulse Bomb and the auto recall ability that we have later on. Now this one is probably one of the most fun builds, and it does start off with Quantum Clip. At least this is a personal preference. I like to start out, this helps grab a little bit more credits by giving us more lifesteal and larger clips. Then we're going to grab a compensator for 5% ammo, or sorry, 5% weapon power, and then armored vest and charge plating to get some more armor and ability power here. So we start off playing pretty, I'd say, passive for the most part. This build is definitely made for people who aren't normally Tracer players, people that are more passive in their gameplay. I'm not really huge of a Tracer player. I'm more of a Mei, kind of Hanzo, like Soldier, you know, real like mid-range kind of thing. So I kind of made a build that focuses around playing around that playstyle. So this build, you're going to see me play mid-range quite a bit, just a little bit closer than normal. You're going to see me take these off angles here and just pressuring people out, playing real slow, trying to force out abilities. I'm not going to be, especially since I'm not super confident in like being able to finish up kills, I'm really just going for the poke wars right now. And that's why we have that Quantum Clip to give us a little bit longer of some fire time as well as lifesteal, so we can survive a little bit longer in these fights. So I'm kind of just playing these off angles, trying to take whatever angle my team is not taking so I don't take a lot of that pressure off. Break's kind of my focus right now as we're going into this. You can see me kind of focus on that. We have the Freya that tries to give me a little sneak peek here. She hears me, so we hit her with a little nice little pulse bomb just to start this thing off good. But going into this next fight, again, we're just going back to the same thing, kind of pressuring out, using that clip size, using that lifesteal, just to make sure that they know that we're on the flanks. Now, this build does kind of turn into more of an AP build, starting in round 2 for quick play or round 3 in competitive, depending on which one you're playing. This build obviously can work in either, and it's going to be focusing more about the pulse bombs that you can get during your recall. So right now we're kind of just playing more of a standard Tracer playstyle, just going for weapon damage, just trying to help out the team with a little bit of damage, pressuring these people out as we go, try to pull them away from the fight. You can see I'm really pulling this this JQ away from the fight to kind of isolate her, so it's easier to kill her, separate her from supports or DPS to help her out in those fights. We get on here to the Tracer. Obviously, this Tracer was actually really good on the enemy team. Really good. I checked their profile later, and I think they're a master, and they were a Tracer one trick, and they were doing great, man. So definitely, Tracer in the hands of some really good players can really carry some games here in Stadium. So if you are a Tracer player, don't be shy with jumping into Stadium here. It's a pretty good season for Tracer players. So we kind of about B comes out. We have another pulse bomb coming up. I believe we do try to hit it here, but we aren't. I don't think we're gonna hit it on the brig. Still getting used to that timing. Yeah, on the Freya. Missed it a little bit there. But again, yeah, just finishing up this fight here. We get pushed back a little bit, pressured, and that's gonna round up that round for the first one. So going into round 2 for quick play, this will be round 3 in comp. We're going to be grabbing Pocket Bomb. This is anytime you recall, you're going to drop a Pulse Bomb at 30% of the normal damage. Now, this doesn't seem like a lot, but it's really good for forcing out cooldowns and having a little bit of burst damage on there. So we're going to add a little power playbook in there to get 10% AP. Ironclad Exhaust just to give us some survivability, so we get overhealth every time we blink. And then Drag Reducers for a little bit more AP. And then 100% Pulse Bomb throw distance. Now, this is actually really important for being able to hit consistent pulse bombs with the playstyle that this build requires, and we're going to talk about this. Now, this round isn't a great example of it. I do miss I would say quite a few pulse bombs, but if you can trust me, just wait until next round. It really showcases how this works really well once you kind of get the groove of using these pulse bombs. Now, you do get the mini pulse bombs every time you do recall. I do want to say, though, especially early on when you don't have any cooldown reduction, don't feel like you need to use your recall to do damage. This is more of just like a passive kind of damage that you can get as you're playing the game. Use it safely. Don't use it too aggressively. Remember, recall is like your big out to make sure that you can live. Until you get more cooldown reduction, it's really not something you want to use just whatever you want. It's more of like as you're playing, when you do recall, you're going to get that extra bonus damage when you're doing it. So don't worry, that's going to scale later. And we can definitely use it more aggressive once we get into the next round here, which you'll see. So you can see I'm kind of playing pretty much normal, getting into the back line, spreading them out again, pulling these fights apart as Tracer, but I'm not really like trying to use my recall too much to do damage. It's more of just like in the moment, I'm just gonna make sure when I recall I'm kind of close to somebody and during those fights, so I know it's just like pretty much how I would normally use recall, just some bonus damage. So again, don't feel like you have to use this recall to do the pulse bomb. Remember, it's only 30% of the normal pulse bomb damage. which isn't nothing, but it's definitely not something you want to completely just sacrifice your recall, your get out of jail free card for just a little bit of damage. So don't worry about doing that too much. Just play your normal playstyle. You'll see, especially with the throw distance that you get, it's gonna hit a lot easier as long as you have your crosshair pointed at somebody. When that, like, as long as you're like within like 3 or 4 meters, as long as you have your crosshair pointed at somebody, it's most likely gonna stick to them. So basically, just your best rule of thumb here is just like keep your crosshair on somebody at all times when you're playing this. You know, keep your crosshair on, shoot where you can, get all that good stuff as you're doing this. Now, I do want to say something about earlier with Quantum Clip. Quantum Clip, you do get that bonus 25% ammo in the lifesteal when you're reloading during a blink. So it's really good to get in the habit. You can see me doing this throughout these past couple rounds, is I dump a clip, and then while I'm doing the reload, I do my blink. And it's kind of a habit you just want to get into. Feel free to go into the practice range and just make this a habit. Just empty a clip, and then the moment your clip's done, that's when you use your blink. And it's a really good habit to get into to maximize the amount of value you can get here, because it bumps our clip size from 40 to 50, and we get that additional 10% lifesteal. So, and plus, it's a good habit to get into. It's a pretty standard Tracer playing style in normal Overwatch, so this is kind of a habit you don't need to be scared of, like, getting in the habit of. This will translate well into normal Overwatch as well. If this is a habit of yours already, then it's basically just free value, which is why I like to grab it in the early rounds, because it is a pretty decent amount of a buff to Tracer for those early rounds when AP doesn't really scale well in the beginning games. So that's why I kind of move that pulse bomb, the recall pulse bomb, a little bit later, so we can scale up our AP. Now, going into the next round, this is round 3 quick play, or round 5 on comp. We're going to be grabbing auto recall. This is once per round. Basically, whenever you're about to die, you recall instead. And then when you use your ultimate, you have a 50% reduction cooldown on your recall itself. So it's really good to just get a bunch of extra instances of recall in there. Now, we are gonna be grabbing Chrono Bomb. This is kind of the cherry on top, the thing that really brings it all together. So it's an additional 50% ability power, and then it has a 50% explosion radius, and then it also is insane in how much extra stuff it does. It reduces the enemies, anybody that's affected by it, their attack speed and their movement speed by 30%, which is insanely huge of a status effect. So this is a really good item. You can grab this early if you feel like it. I like grabbing the distance early just to make sure I can hit some more consistent pulse bombs early on. But you can see this round especially, man, we're going to be tearing this team apart. We're using our pulse bombs a little bit more aggressively. Now I'm using that recall a little bit more aggressively as well, because I know that I'm going to get it back much quicker, and I have my auto recall as a get out of jail free card if I find myself, you know, caught in a bad position in the round. It's kind of my, you know, I can play aggressive, because if I do die, I'm still, you know, or not really die. If I get to 0, I'm not going to die that first time. So I don't mind playing a little bit more aggressive here, trying to get some more damage out the gate. You can see I'm really just farming up these pulse bombs now. Recall gets farmed up real quick during these rounds, so it's really not that bad. So at this point, you can definitely play more aggressive. Same thing, kind of playing that mid to close range. You don't need to get super close with the throw distance. You got the cooldown reductions from Ironclad, from Multi-Tool. A lot of really good stuff. And then we're actually going to be throwing on Cyber Venom as well to get that 5% cooldown reduction, 10% AP, and the 30% healing reduction anytime we do ability damage. So now it's not just attack speed and their movement's been getting nerfed. It's now their healing received as well, which is massive. If you can hit a lot of these pulse bombs, or at least get some nice AoEs, you're really going to be applying a lot of status effects to the enemy team while you're doing this as Tracer, which I think is a really effective way to really take a lot of these team fights. So it's really versatile and where you can use it and how much status effects. Status effects is really OP in Stadium right now, especially healing reduction and movement speed. So having that is something that Tracer can really apply really frequently is really good. So you can see we're playing a little bit more aggressive. We don't mind playing at least in their faces a little bit more. We've got plenty of recalls. We have our auto recall to save us if we get in a little bit of a hairy situation. So I really have a lot of confidence here going to the late game with this build. You just kind of get in there, kind of get those recalls. Don't be afraid to drop those recalls early, especially for in someone's face. You see there that JQ tried to hit me with the axe. I saw that was going to happen. I was going to need a recall anyway, so I just did it early, you know. But even though I was full HP, just did it early. get that damage out there, make sure I live. So, and then you just really get up in their face like this. You can see it creates a great stagger effect too. Once you get this damage out, it forces a lot of cooldowns. When people see that they're stuck, even though they don't know it's like a 30% reduced pulse bomb, a lot of people will freak out and use like a lot of their big cooldowns to get out from it. So it's really good to open up these fights early on. So this last round, we really do kind of showcase just how abusive this build can be. It's pretty good. I've only had a few games where it's not ran super well. Mainly into like builds with like survival and stuff like that, and a lot of movement speed. But for most of the games, man, this build is built. It feels really good. It feels really good. So I'm gonna drop the build code for you guys right here. You guys can grab this, take it into your games today, and enjoy some Tracer. We're gonna be back with more Tracer builds, so make sure to sub and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SpookyShow to get the most up-to-date information on Stadium and build updates as we go into the future. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.